Donkey Kong Bananza follows the story of Donkey Kong and his newfound friend Pauline as they journey to the core of their planet. Along the way, the pair must pass through various layers of the underground, encountering new and entirely unique terrains and biomes, catching a glimpse of the lives led by the inhabitants as we embark on a journey all about friendship, carving your own path, and finding your voice. Today I will be ranking the layers in Donkey Kong Bananza based on how much I would want to live there. This is something I inevitably find myself doing in games, all for the escapism. This is less of a practical, could you actually sustain yourself here, and more of an idealized theoretical approach. Donkey Kong Bananza is great for this idea, since the game literally gives you housing in the form of getaways. These are mostly little box room resting points, with a bed, a wardrobe, and a speaker system, and also your own personal butler that can transform into various trading fractones upon request. Every layer has a varying amount of these getaways, which do cost gold, but by purchasing and building new ones, all existing getaways on that layer get upgraded, which results in some nice visual differences. Many of the getaways already have unique decorations which reflect the style of the layer they are on, and by the end of the game, Donkey Kong has likely built up quite the property portfolio. Now, I'm not going to be ranking the getaways specifically, but I will be taking them into consideration for their respective layers. We will go from last place to first, but feel free to disagree with me in the comments. Oh, and there are, of course, general spoilers for the game and stuff post-ending. Okay, let's get started. In last place, and somewhere I really could not see myself living, is the planet core. I'm not sure if this is controversial, maybe I think it might be because it's essentially the last layer of the game, it's the place we've been heading to this entire time, thus it's got to have some kind of significance, right? But not on this scale. First of all, it's literally the farthest away from the surface. Can you imagine the pressure and the heat? We need only look to the particle effects and general hazy air to know it's not going to be kind to those with respiratory issues. Also, I'm not sure if there is a day or night cycle. I know some of the layers have artificial light, and I pose the same question to those places too, but it does seem especially dark here. I like to think that regardless of where you would choose to live in this game, you would be able to move between the layers and reach the surface. But you gotta pick a home base, and I personally am not choosing the enemy-riddled gauntlet with the longest travel time to the surface to call my own. Up next is the Forbidden layer, and I really don't have a lot to say about this place. This will be a trend with these kind of transitional layers. It's very dead here, but at least it's more peaceful than the planet core, and I guess there is a nice sand bit, and the prismatic sky is quite pretty, but that's about as much as I have to say. Speaking of the transitional layers, at the very bottom of C we have both the divide and the junction. They're kind of two sides of the same coin, with access to the freezer and forest layers, and are pretty minimal in terms of design. The divide will be placed slightly higher, however, just because I prefer the colour of the sky, and the getaway that is available here is at least a room, and not just a bed shoved into an open corner. Moving on, we have the landfill layer. Okay, now this is stuffy and super claustrophobic, and there's so much digging to be done. One man's trash is another man's treasure, and I just know you could find some interesting stuff here. Yeah, that is an increased risk of contracting some illnesses as a result of digging through old trash, but just look at that scraphead eel the getaway is built in. And that's just another big plus. This is home to the eels. Donkey Kong Bananza doesn't have elevators and teleports, they have elevators and teleports, which Pauline will never let you forget. But the eels are so happy, and they have little baby ones here, and I don't know, it just seems chill, if a little unhygienic. The last layer I have in C tier is racing. This is also on the smaller side, but it does have really strong theming. This is a rhino racetrack, with a little training and housing area. This place doesn't just have entertainment, but also a potential career path, becoming a Ramby trainer / rider. I like that the getaway here is on its own separate island with small water pools, but I'd still prefer an actual room. Alright, moving up to B tier. Now, I know this might be controversial, but I don't know guys, this place makes me uncomfortable. It's Feast layer. On the surface, this sounds like a great place to live, no? Food is in abundance and it's literally a theme park. The layer is under a fixed starry sky, and the getaway features retro diner style aesthetics, complete with pizza and burger shaped lighting, but there's just something so unsettling about this place. I think of Pinocchio's Pleasure Island, like it's too much, it's sickening. All the pinkish salt rocks remind me of raw meat, and there's just so much hot oil everywhere. Plus, why is there a literal graveyard here? What's going on? I don't know, get me out of here. Ingot Isle is next, and I just love how close to the surface it is. I know I'm supposed to just be judging the layers, but in the opening cutscene where we see Ingot Isle's original position, it's surrounded by lovely forests, and I'm sure you could potentially access those somewhat if you lived here, right? Either way, just being able to see the actual sky and moon is a huge benefit for this layer. I like how lively this place is. Sure, the main industry is mining, which I'm not sure I'd get on with that, but just being surrounded by so many characters is nice, and the music is great, although hopefully it does switch up at some point. Even though the getaway here is very minimal, it does have a nice view, and I've noticed scattered around there are little air conditioning units. I'm not sure how effective these are, but I like the effort towards temperature control. Moving on to A tier now, and at the very bottom is Groove Layer. And I don't know whether to feel reassured or concerned that they have a jail here. Either way, this place is very stylish. It feels like a spaceship of sorts, and has hosted the best speaker in the game. Now, I'm not much of a partier, but I do love music, and the getaway here is pretty nice. You get your own private balcony with seating, mirror ball, and an exclusive entry area. There is also a museum, which, gosh, I love a museum. And you just know the Wi-Fi has to be top notch here. Whilst I do have concerns about the lack of any fake sky and whether or not the partying does stop at any point, I do overall think this is quite a livable area. Only slightly higher is Hillside. This is one of those places that, just based on description, sweeping hills, wildflower fields, and pastel skies, it sounds like somewhere I would love. And I do, don't get me wrong, but I'm slightly thrown off by the sheer amount of mud covering the area, and just generally how quiet it is here. Which is great in theory. I'm as introverted as they come, but in the long run, I think it would be a little isolating. The getaway here is quaint, it is covered, but doesn't have any unique decorations for the area, which is unfortunate, and it is situated in the muddiest area, away from the Fractone village. Next in A tier, Forest Layer. I love a forest. The canopy, the birdsong, this is one of my absolute favourite areas, but why the poison? Imagine if this were rushing water. I think then this layer might just place first. Again, in terms of livability, this is one of the layers with a clear industry. Hospitality, although I don't recommend working in hospitality. The ostriches are so accommodating and friendly, even outside of the Eggshell Hotel, of which is, well, not very much like a hotel. What it lacks in practicality, it makes up for with design. The dimly lit hotel rooms are cozy and have an Art Deco-esque aesthetic. I love the greens and golds. There are gardens with lush flowers and hedges. Yes, there are a few too many enemies in this area, but I'm sure the staff are working on eradicating them. My favourite area in this layer is the Bellhop Burb Getaway, which is just a stone's throw away from the market area and comes complete with draped vine bunting and some delightful terrace seating, overlooking the purple waterfall. There are also little sandy beachy areas, closed for swimming for obvious reasons, and trampolines. However, due to the sheer number of creatures that do wish to do you harm, I don't feel as though I can place this layer higher. Canyon Layer. It feels toasty warm here. This layer is home to the engineers, the refiners of bananas, and whilst it does feel industrial, it's not too overbearing, and the red rocks and sand strike a good balance. There are minecarts dotted around for transportation, little lizard guys running around, and a plethora of getaway options. Because of the number you can build, the bed gets a nice upgrade, with a hanging wind-chimey canopy thing above the beds. Standout getaways include Toolful Cliffs and Twin Horn Smokestacks, which basically give you your own private island, but the one I would choose to settle down in is the Plateau Village Getaway, which, whilst open on two sides, the rear is not very overlooked, and does lead to a separate room which could be renovated. The spot is also close to the little market, which provide kitchen access. I'm not sure why these buildings are equipped with the little kitchenette, but I'll take it. The highest entry into A tier is going to be Tempest Layer. Hell is empty and all the devils are here, and they are elephants who are hogging the hot springs. I'm kidding, I actually really like the elephants, and they even carry cute little Animal Crossing watering cans. This place is all about weather and forecasting. Even though the storm here does seem unending, it does make it awfully cozy. The Stormy Station is basically a wizard's tower, and I love that there are books and scrolls scattered all over the place. The Sauna Getaway even has its own little spa bath next to it, and the Trunk Dunk Hot Springs is complete with lounges and seemingly hot chocolate and marshmallows, although I would prefer coffee. Now S tier. These are, as of right now, the best places you could live in Donkey Kong Bonanza. Starting with 4th place, we have Radiance Layer, home of the light device crafting snakes. I'm not the biggest snake fan, but these guys are cute. This layer truly lives up to its name. It's radiant, with lots of glass and sparkles. The number of getaways here means that they too are upgraded, and the snake stripe padded walls look like geometrical soundproofing. Whilst the underground areas of this layer are nice, Glow Boa Grotto is a standout home for its balcony and extra room. The area that really makes this layer shine is on the surface. Amongst the white sands is a really cute market, decorated with crystals. Strolling up this relaxed market street leads you to a heated pool area, overlooking the plains dotted with white rose trees. Hiss Hiss Oasis is a getaway situated at the start of this market and is actually inside of a sculpted serpent structure. Okay, now the particular standing of these next few were difficult to decide, but in 3rd place, Resort Layer. Maybe I will change my mind later because I do really love this layer, but I think I'd maybe prefer to visit as opposed to stay long term. It's quite small compared to the other layers and there's not too much going on, but aesthetically, Resort is perfect. It absolutely nails the juicy, fresh, summery feeling. I love the giant fruit and the gathering hub area. The getaways are both great choices, but I do prefer Fruit Pole Archipelago, the Leafy Garland and Personal Rock Pool and Pier. Ignore them. This might actually be the best getaway in the game, but unfortunately we are not debating that today. In 2nd place is Freezer Layer. A complete contrast to Resort Layer, really, but this place is so cute, and I'm almost exclusively talking about the top layer. Yes, it looks extremely cold here, but I much prefer the cold to the heat. And the snow just looks so puffy. I know it's supposed to be ice cream, which I have previously said I'm not the biggest fan of, but it's more like if you offered it to me, I wouldn't say no most of the time, but I'd rather have something else, you know? Besides, below the ice cream is just straight up chocolate, and who would pass that up? Just like with the Canyon Layers kitchenettes and the Ingot Isles AC, freezer houses have TVs, and the getaways are sweetly decorated with pastel striped walls, hanging lights, and ice cream art. The little lake is so lovely, and the iridescent water feels magical. Cold Colt Crest Hill Getaway has a small walled garden and an indoor entrance. Feels very cozy. Overall, this place is a sweet second. But in 1st place, the moment some of you have been waiting for, it's Lagoon Layer. This is the best layer to live on in Donkey Kong Bonanza. This just strikes the perfect balance. It's close to the surface, light and airy, with swimmable water pools, hills, lush plant variety, scrap fishing, and a lively vibe. And there are just so many great getaway options here. Salvage's Landing, it's secluded and private. Lakebed Getaway has a little courtyard and a waterfall veiled garden with a ship wreckage. Water Tank Getaway comes with an extra room and 2 pools. But Ape Cape may just be my home of choice, with absolutely stunning views. The getaways here are furnished with a fishing net wall covering and blue lights. Whilst there are a number of enemies here, I still think they are manageable. So for me, this is the best layer to live on in Donkey Kong Bonanza. Okay, and that was my ranking. Like I said, please do let me know which layer you would choose to live in. I actually really enjoyed reading the comments of people explaining their preferences in the last video. And if you would like to further support me, you can subscribe and or like the video and maybe check out some of my artwork. Alright, see you next time.